I believe we're live.
Yes, we are live now.
Okay, I'm just going to move this screen. Hello, everyone. Just figuring this out as usual. Just give it a couple minutes to let people come in. Close this. All right. Hi, Alice. I don't know how many people are here yet, but we'll just give it a couple minutes. Ooh. Welcome, my beautiful co-host here, Rayania. Happy that you're with me again today.
Yeah, it's always exciting to be here together with you and also with the people that tune in.
Nice.
It is, yeah, it feels like a small community
Mm-hmm.
and where people connect with heart.
Yay. Hi, Carol. Nice to see you. Yeah, it's nice that's going to come forward. So as we're given just a couple of minutes here, I'm going to go in the energy and just open up and really just bring in, light and bring a cohesiveness to, hi, Shoko, nice to see you from Amsterdam. To what we're bringing, because today I am going to talk about some of the current energies, things that are going on, and I want to go into actually my website. So I'm gonna do a screen share and talk about some of the things that I'm doing and explain what exactly that I'm doing and why I feel it's important. So, but before we get into that, let's just open up the energy here. So for those that are stepping in and are here, we're just gonna close our eyes for a minute and open up the energy for all that's here. So take some nice deep breaths. I'm just going to expand the space. And we're going to call in the highest and most profound miracles and healing miracles to take place for all those that are here, according to divine law and order in the world of oversouls. So we're going to ask for whatever's in the highest and best to come through with grace and ease for you, as you just take some breaths, open your heart, let go, give yourself permission to be in this space. This particular space is a 0 point space, so it is the space of no thing and all possibilities. And I'm going to expand this space 360 degrees, thousands of miles, and only allow for pure prime creator. So your authentic self to have opportunity to show up, to begin to communicate with you. It's going to communicate with you on a quantum level of your being, so a knowing, but also through some dialogue, conscious, unconscious dialogue to yourself. So maybe some things will start coming up because I'm invoking that, encouraging that, because this is a safe space, let's say. My particular energetics carry the frequencies of all frequency. So there's an ability being in this particular space for your unique soul signature to just show up. And that's really why part of why I'm guided to come here, part of what I'm here doing and showing up as. So just being in this space actually is shifting energetically. And so, of course I'm going to be sharing things and communicating with you and so on, but the energetics of this field is giving you permission to show up. So just feel that. Take some breaths. Let's get some bigger breaths. I'm really feeling a lot around that solar plexus. The solar plexus is where we identify ourselves. A lot of identification coming forward. And, and we're one, so we're not alone. We're all in this together. We're here to show up as the most amazing you that you are. And that's what I'm here to help with. So I wanted to talk about today about all of this and really talk about the energies that are here. And like I had mentioned in the beginning, I want to I'm going to do a screen share of my website, because I really want to show and talk about some of the classes and activations that I have and why I've done this particular and who I am. So, those that I think know me and those that don't. So I carry the 0 point for all frequencies, and my particular energetics is not from this universal complex, and I carry the energy that I refer to, and I've heard it from Carolyn Corey speak this way as the life architect energy. And this particular energetic, and it's not just me, I carry aspects of this, has the ability to recognize creation itself. So what that means is that when in this particular field that I happen to be embodying, and how I'm able to look at it and experience it, is to be able to see your unique signature in its perfection. So because I'm able to see that, I can see where it's not in the perfection. And so everything that I do is helping to release that and move that. And where it's all occurring is through this vehicle, this body. All of our existence is through this body. We are consciousness, we are information, we are source consciousness, we're your soul, your energy, whatever light, we are light and sound that is engaging in a physical experience. So I think why this is so important is that this is it's very freeing to have this awareness. It's also very empowering, because when we feel like that I have all this stuff in my life and all these things that are outside of myself that I don't have control over, when you can realize that your experience of it is in essence the control of it. It is literally. And not only is it's literally, it's the way that creation works. So through this physical vehicle, through our thought and our emotion, we are literally creating our reality. We're creating all reality. And we are one as the collective and with the collective. And so everything that's going on in this world, we are a part of, the energetics. But how we're a part of it, I mean, we can have lots of ways in which we say literally we're a part of it, but I think the most important part is we are a part of it through our experience of it, our expression, our emotion. So taking this vehicle into consideration first and foremost, how am I feeling? Where am I? What am I doing right here within the privacy of my own home, my own space, my own body is the key to your existence. So with this, I'd like to do screen share here just for a few moments. And I want to go to my website for those that you can see it here. So this is my products page. It's my offerings page on my website. The newest course that's coming up is on shame. This is restoring the original soul fragmentation and releasing the imprint of shame from the brain and body. The brain and body series is all about moving through the physical body with these various imprints. And the idea of soul fragmentation is when we take on a belief system of who we believe we are. And then when we take on that belief system, it basically fragments an aspect of ourself, because we are source consciousness having an experience called Cathleena or something. So if I then become Cathleena, it's like, what have I become? And that becoming me is where I'm fragmenting my soul in essence and imprinting something. And so the imprint in this case is like the imprint of shame, which is a huge one in our collective belief system. And so what this series is all about is through activations using light language and various different energetic movements. And what I'm doing is light language you can think of as just like authentic communication. So human language is not really authentic. It has a lot of different frequencies and distortions and limits and limitations to it. But light language is like the language of energy and frequency. And so it's think about it, it's like what the sounds of the wind or the water or so on, and particularly in relationship to the earth. So it really is a natural, and I think everybody has elements and aspects of light language, but what it does is it's communicating to the geometry of who we are, because we are geometry, we are energy and frequency. And if you think about yourself as like this puzzle piece in this giant quantum field, and you're not a flat puzzle piece, you're a spherical, moving puzzle piece of energy and frequency. And when you let go, when you allow yourself to show up as you, then you beautifully, synergistically, naturally align to all things that are in harmony with you and with all of creation. We're with all of creation. So these activations that I'm doing are actually helping to take out the places in which we've stopped that spherical motion. We've frozen it. We froze it by, taking and fragmenting our soul and then imprinting. So it's like we're stuck. It's sort of like it's not moving, and that's what we feel like too. We feel stuck. We feel shut down. So this entire collection, and there's 9 different ones, is all releasing these, and they're super important, particularly with what's going on now. I do have a larger course that's embodying universal consciousness, and this is a 15-week course. This is when you want to go into depth about who you really are. That's what's going to come up again, not too far away. There's one moving through the time matrix at 0 point. This is a course that actually takes you through ages of your chronological development in this lifetime, and through an activation, I bring you in the 0 point, so in the present moment, to that time, so that you can become the witnessing observer of yourself. So it's almost like, if you can imagine, you have a memory in your life, and instead of experiencing it as a memory, you will have the ability to imagine that you're standing in the room watching you and the other characters that were taking place in that environment. And by doing that, as you're showing up as a 0 point, it literally is releasing out those energetics that have been stuck in there. So it's like literally changing the past and allowing it for it to move. So it's another way of being able to shift the energetics. So this is another course that I have. It's another way that I do it. Embodying the Hieros Gamos. This is super important. This is about embodying the masculine and feminine energies. We are both masculine and feminine, and this is really the balance to these particular ones. There's 3 different ones, move through the body systems as well. And this is the human influence. So this is like how we in our day-to-day life have been influenced in the imbalance of the masculine and feminine energies. And in this case, masculine and feminine is related to like mental. So masculine is the mental frequency or the blueprint of your creation, and the feminine is the spiritual creator creation aspect of your creation. So it's like, how are these being influenced? And remember, we are creator beings. We go back to the body. Everything's about the body, right? So my thought and my emotion are what are creating here. So this series is also extremely important. So the first one is about the human influence. Let's go back here. The second part of this is this is the continuing. These are all, it's all about the human influence actually in the Hieros Gamos and all of the body systems. Then there's also a course on restoring the human template to its truth frequency. The truth frequency is the 0 point. So, the restoring the human template is this body. So it's a restoration. And this one we go through various different aspects of self, the I remember this correctly. Yeah. So this is when we're releasing these different frequencies. So the false masculine, false feminine, false neutrality, false safety. So we have false aspects that we've aligned to instead of authentic. Authentic in the truth is in the 0 point of what these feel like. Like the false masculine frequency would be when I'm in that mental thought and I've become somebody and something instead of just allowing myself to create from the perspective of, my own individual creation. So anyway, I don't want to get too much more into this. I just felt it was super important to go over some of the things that are on here for those that maybe haven't experienced the work and didn't have an idea of what it was all representing. Sometimes you have the words and you don't understand what these are. I'm going to stop the sharing now. And let's go right to this piece. Sorry, I'm just moving some things that I can see here. I just felt it was important to bring this because when we get to the current now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the current and why this is important, is that the current energies are all about everything that I do and what I'm bringing forward. Where we are is I've mentioned before that we have access to the galactic core now. We have so many frequencies and energies that we are able to connect to, via the grid systems. In the past, we weren't able to connect to our authenticity. And so we weren't able to connect to who we really are. And now the veils are very thin, so on. And what's literally happening is, and again, Carolyn Corey referred to it this way, that the subconscious mind is dissolving. I would have probably said more about that, we are stepping into our authentic self. But as that is occurring, basically, think about it. I don't believe the subconscious mind was ever meant to be part of our reality, because why would we ever have anything that we hid from ourselves? I don't think that that's been, part of the reality. But as that's occurring, what you're probably experiencing is stuff. Everything's coming up, and as it's coming up, it wants to attach. And there's a lot of things that become attached. So literally, everything that I do is helping to release all of that on a quantum level, on a much larger level of your energetics. And here's again why this is super important, is that, your day-to-day you that you, have, maybe you're finding yourself competitive with somebody or feeling jealousies or feeling upset. Those energetics, if you're able to be the witnessing observer, they are not just about this present moment. They actually are your the energetics of what you've taken on as soul fragments of aspects of self, of other lifetimes, of other aspects of who you are. And this is what's unwinding, unfolding. So there's just so much in so many layers of things that are going on. And it's very profound right now. This particular month has a lot. I've been experiencing just tremendous levels of shifts and changes and awareness. And I feel like it's just super important to really be the witnessing observer, to recognize, to bring it home, to be right here. This is what's happening. And, part of my service here is to help you release those things that are causing these energies and frequencies to be repetitive within the body. Okay, well, that was a lot that I felt like needed to come forward and bring. So let's take a look if there's any questions here or anything that anybody wants to bring forward or say in relationship to what I brought forward. And I am going to do an activation, and my good friend here, Rayania, wants to do a little something and share a little bit about what she's also doing, and we'll get to that as well. But let's see if there's any questions. Rayania, we have any questions? Anything anybody's brought forward?
Yes, Bridget has a question. She says she had an amazing dream about her power of creation, felt very embodying, but my physical body is still tightly wounded. Tightly wound? Wounded? Any help or suggestion to let go?
Tightly. And feeling it very embodied. You have to see what tightly wound. Yes, what she meant. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, breath, of course, is a key, right? Allowing for divine breath. Remembering being in the present moment. I've mentioned that I have a small book that I've written. It's called The Pocket Guide to Presence. It's also on my website under the product page. And some of the things in there, some of the techniques about getting and staying present, or like when you wake up in the morning and your head starts taking off in your day, you bring yourself back. You ask yourself, like, what am I wearing? Why did I choose this? What color? And this is the type of thing, when you're feeling that tightly wound, it's like that's when those energetics seem overwhelming, and there's just a lot going on. So I've embodied, these energies that are around me. And so I'm actually shrinking my energy in. So we want to think about the expansion. So of course, through the breath is a way to actually expand my energetics. But reminding myself of where I really am, and reminding myself of the things that I am safe, I am free, I am okay. So I got my feet on the floor, I'm looking out my eyes, I'm in my room. And when the brain is taking off and the energetic is trying to have you feel uncomfortable, it's like, remind yourself, no, look, I'm good. I'm right here. I'm in my space. I'm comfortable. I'm actually okay. I'm taking breaths. That's how we're going to begin to calm down those energetics, because what's happening when we're doing that is we are expanding the 0 point. And remember, we are source consciousness. We are fifth dimensional or higher beings. And the ascension process is the body is ascending. We are not. So when we are, in essence, in the present moment, without judgment, when we're in pure experience, we are the 0 point. And so the 0 point is the place of no thing and all possibilities. I'm literally one with everything, and I am vibrating as the highest frequency there is, pure source consciousness. So when I'm able to be in that present moment and really breathe and let go, then no other frequency can sustain itself there. So all of those other layers of frequency that were causing all the distress are going to dissipate. They're going to dissipate out. And so if we're able to allow ourselves to be in that present moment, and then be the witnessing observer of this being. So like if I'm in this and I'm noticing, which I had the other day, I noticed that suddenly I was feeling anxious, and I was like, and instead of going, oh my gosh, I'm feeling anxious, I'm like, curious. Okay, I'm feeling anxious. That's curious. And so I just become the witnessing observer of myself. And I notice where it's trying to plug in, it's trying to plug in the solar plexus. Oh, this is trying to hit me somewhere about who I am. Isn't this interesting? Then you'll notice the pattern of the dialogue. Oh, there's an interesting dialogue going on. Where's this coming from? I happened to notice that I had communicated with a person that it was their energetics. And so their energetics came into the field, which was around me. And I just happened to notice it, but it was a pretty intense energetics. It's also, I think it's super intense because there is energy now that really does not want, this ascension process to continue. So of course, it's going to play out. And because everything is continuing to come up, it's going to continue to play out. So for myself, I noticed, so I was just like, oh. And so the difference in noticing and becoming it is literally that you are in the present moment. Because, these triggers, like a trigger is never, ever in the present moment, because that's the nature of a trigger. It's always the past or the future, something in relationship to that. And that's always coming from the mind space. So that's a given. If you're triggered by something, you can be guaranteed you're not in the present moment. So remind yourself of that. Like, oh, what's happening to me? That's why I keep saying, come back to this body, come back right here. Like, oh, it doesn't, forget anything out there. Forget what you think the situation is or whatever, just what's happening to me. And who is the me that this is happening to? Am I present me that I'm experiencing? Because in present me, I was able to be curious. If it was a younger version of me, I might have been embodying it, becoming it. So this is where it's super important.
Yeah, that feels very, very powerful, very practical as well. I hope that's helpful for Bridget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like sometimes for some people, it's also good to do some intuitive body movement, right? For me, I I noticed that sometimes the body also needs to move in order to shake off certain energy that we have taken on, knowingly,
Yeah.
unknowingly.
Yeah,
So
that's great. Absolutely. That's why people do different practices of yoga or different types of body movement practices. Sure. Taking a shower is helpful as well. You know, getting in the water. Sure.
yeah.
I go
So
for walks. I do stretching. Yeah.
yeah, that's beautiful. So this question, are we expanding by keeping our heart open? I think it's
Yes, as well, that's my dialogue, right? Is I'm going to keep my heart open and feel no matter what. What's happening is that as we are allowing in this physical expression to keep our heart open, we are our multidimensional self. And through the practice of keeping the heart open, there is a greater expansion of your I am presence. What is actually happening is that as we keep our hearts open and we are allowing for the experience to take place, we are in essence highlighting, bringing light to those aspects of self that have been hidden, that are being triggered, that whatever, and it's an opportunity to bring back those soul fragments and release any imprints. So because having the heart space open, the way that I look at it is like, I've said this before, is imagine that you are this very large kind of maze of energy, that's very intricate. Think about maybe like a sort of a mesh energy, is kind of the way to sort of look at it, and you're in the center of it. And it's like, imagine it sort of like a piece of land, and that all of these are roads, and but you can't see all of the roads because they're darkened. But as you continue to keep your heart space open and you allow yourself to feel, it's like suddenly those roads open up, and you start to feel and start to see like the clarity of like, oh, that's what's going on. Oh, but as you're doing that, that's the expansion of your hologram. That's you bringing light to who you really are, in your space. The water is, I have the water outside of here, and the light is, so it's beaming on my eyes. So I'm having a blind spot on my eyes at the moment.
yeah, you look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't read right now though, so you're definitely gonna have to read from.
Okay, let me.
Can't.
Yes, our next question is beautiful as well. So regarding noticing, are you saying that simply noticing some specific energy in your body or field is enough to neutralize it?
Yes. However, that is relative. So certainly, if you are in the 0 point present moment and you have a noticing, absolutely, that is an alchemizing that can take place instantaneous, because in that space of noticing, I am source consciousness having that experience. But what typically happens is that we have a noticing and awareness. So a part of it highlights, but then it moves into, it's like that road opens and then boom, we hit another spot that's been closed. And so at that point is when we start to feel whatever is the next level of that it need to bring that soul fragment home and embody. But yes, as we continue to be the witnessing observer, instantaneously things are shifting and moving, and that's definitely been my expression. That's in essence kind of exactly what I do. Okay, so I'm sitting in the 0 point with all of you. So I'm the witnessing observer of all that's here, and that's what's happening in this field. So you're in the field now, and this is, so you have the opportunity through this field of just highlighting. So I'm in essence helping that for you, is creating that. So the more that you then just become curious about whatever's coming up for you, whatever you're feeling, whatever might end up feeling in your body, and not taking it on, then yes, it just continues to alchemize and shift and move. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I have a question. I hope it's not too much from the mind, because when we are sitting together, all 20, 30 of us in this moment, at this moment, how does our field look like? Are we all like into a group of light or a group of energy? And when you support us to neutralize it, how does that, I don't know, just out of
Well, when
curiosity.
I'm looking at it in the way that you just described, I mean, I just see the quantum field. So I'm just looking at the entire, I mean, let's try to imagine infinity and everything. So that's really kind of what it's like. And I can go to the micro or to the macro either. So as you're describing, I'm kind of looking at it. So I was looking at your energetics. So I can go to anybody who's here and who will be here, because this is a quantum field, and see the individual energetics. I can go right deep into their cellular body, into the organ structures, into anything like that, or we can go much larger out. So I'm just looking at the whole field. So that's a big thing when you're saying that, for me particularly, because I can look at all of it, and that's really where I am in the energetics right now, is just kind of in the bigger essence of the field with it, and opening up to some of the I guess larger dynamics, and that's what I keep feeling, is I'm feeling some of the spaces where I can feel some individuality things going on, definitely around the heart space, around the solar plexus. There's people that have physical issues, that are things going on. I can feel a lot of different financial stuff, different ways that people are choosing to show up, and that's kind of how the energetics are showing up for me. So I'm as I'm speaking about it, of course, I'm looking at it and working with it and allowing that. And let me just say that it's not me, like little me doing it. This is the energetics of my signature, that's actually doing it. Although I am having the awareness through this vehicle, I'm able to experience it within my physical being, in my physical body.
Yeah, I love that. I just love how you're able to describe what is happening and what you do, because I feel very often when we're uncovering our gifts or integrating the human me, would feel like, okay, how do I describe this amazing, this huge, immense energy working, and how do I put it into words? But it almost feels like we're living in this world. If we want to describe, introduce ourselves, then
yeah, the way to do it is to experience it. That's why I keep talking about this, going back into your own body, into your own experience. That's how I learned this, was through my own experience. I began to be the witnessing observer of myself. And I really did it out of surrendering my misery at first, because it was like, I couldn't figure out what was happening. I'm like, why is this happening to me? I would go around people, and some people would well, people were always coming to me. They would come up to me, and they wouldn't just say hi. They would be telling me their life story. There would be different things going on. And I was just noticing different things that were happening. And, but it was not comfortable necessarily. There were a lot of things that were happening that were not comfortable. So I dug deep. I just kind of went into my own energetics and was like, what is happening? I kind of knew, though, and I think we all have, especially anybody who's going to be here or listening, I think has an awareness, that we have a divine plan that we came here for, and we're waking up to it. And, the wake up is getting to know yourself. But I think the biggest piece in this is give yourself permission to say, I don't know who I am, and be okay with that. Because that can be a little slippery slope in the human journey. Because, if we say, I don't know who I am, and if somebody else like dialogues that back to you, like, oh, you don't know who you are, well, that could feel not great, so it's another way to just feel diminished. But when you're like, no, okay, I'm learning who I am, because we're learning who all of us really are as energy and frequency. That's a different way. The other piece that is coming up with this, and this is something I mentioned before, is, we've all played on, or pretty much everybody's played on both sides of the coin of this matrix, right? So in this waking up, we're waking up to the characters and the roles we've played in many different lifetimes. And some of those characters and roles have not been in the highest and best for humanity. And this is where, we're struggling as who we are today, because everybody, is coming from this place where we know, and especially everybody here, is all about light and love and wants to be, show up and so on. And of course we are, but the characters in which we've played may not have been necessarily in those same places. And how we can begin to know this is how we're still playing out, when we play out jealousy, when we play out competition, well, those could have been much denser aspects of that same energetic in other timelines that contributed to, what's currently taking place in humanity. And so this is super important to just begin to recognize and let go and shift, because they're still playing out this right and wrong, good and bad and all that, and it feels like that, to embody and to own those aspects of self might be some of the most challenging, but it's not about you're a bad person or you're a good person, any of that. It's more just, well, these are just characters and roles that we played through this little movie called life of whatever it is. And the more that we can come from that place of compassion and love and divine forgiveness and all of these aspects of self, this is when we free ourselves, and this is the name of the game. And it's in the micro aspect of me and my day-to-day and what I'm doing, to the macro aspect of who I've been, whatever collective I've part of, whatever journey I've been on. This is all what's unfolding.
Profound. Great. So I actually wanted to go to a question from Stuart first. How we keep our heart open no matter what?
Yeah, and that's not a silly question, Stuart. Well, how I experience it is being present. Okay, so an example would be, say I had this where there's somebody I hadn't seen in a very long time, and and I went to go meet with him, and I could feel some of the nervousness coming forward. And so when I said to myself, I'm just going to keep my heart open and feel no matter what, then I just allow myself to show up. I allow for that nervousness just to be there. It's kind of like I've described it, like if you meet somebody for the first time that you're attracted to, and you feel all that nervousness and whatever, and what do? We shut it down. What if I didn't shut it down? That's how I keep my heart open. It's when I truly am present and show up. And the other piece in this is noticing if there's a dialoguing going on in the head, and it's releasing that dialoguing, and allowing that to breathe and to breathe through that and to communicate with that dialoguing, because there could be even judgment and so on that's going on. You show up in an environment, and we've got, this dialoguing, and it's like, am I going to align with that? Am I going to start to say, and I've been around, I've mentioned this story before, that I was walking around with a friend, and she introduced me to another friend, and I walked away, and I had this dialogue in my head of going, oh no, I won't connect to these people because, I'm super spiritual or I'm whatever. And I was able to notice the dialogue right away and be able to say, well, wait, what am I doing? Because if I'm doing that to myself, I'm shutting my heart down. I'm pushing myself away. I'm doing, so this, we start to notice, this is again, becoming the witnessing observer of the self, and allowing you to be you. We have so many ways in which we don't. And it's a little weird at first. It's a little uncomfortable, it's definitely, but the more you breathe with it, the more you let go, you just go, well, it is what it is. Because this is what we're coming into. And this is what I said in another, I don't know if I said it on YouTube Live, but that, what we've been playing is the inauthentic power and the inauthentic vulnerability. So the inauthentic power is something greater or less than something else. The authentic power is there's nothing greater than that I am. And the inauthentic vulnerability is like the weakness and the, fears, things like that. But the authentic vulnerability is divine truth. It is what it is. I am what I am. It's the 0 point. So this is what we're awakening to, is that there's nothing greater than that I am, and it is what it is. And how do I experience that? Through the present moment as the creator being. This is what we're doing. So that's how you keep your heart space open.
Powerful. I love that. There's nothing greater than that I am. I just have to stay present.
Exactly.
And I think
and it's free.
Yeah. And I made it out my mantra, sort of like, no, I'll just keep my heart open no matter what. I notice myself saying that.
What do I have to lose? Exactly. Show up.
Yay. So question from Christina. Is there any advice, insight regarding remembering our dreams? So for her, extremely rarely, I remember mine. A few weeks ago, I was an observer in my dreams, and after woke up, forgot my dreams, only got the feeling of being an observer.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, you can write them down as soon as you wake up. I mean, that's part of it. I found that the dreams, if we become the witnessing observer, as you practice more, being the witnessing observer and keeping your heart open, I very easily remember dreams, because it's not even a dream space, it's a different space, and so you're in the quantum field. And that's my remembering, dream space is being, again, very present. But, you certainly can write them down. That's often what people do, is take notes and write them down, because they do fleet very quickly.
Yeah, I got this question from Karen. When decluttering things that no longer serve me, how do I respect the creation of these things and still feel healthy about throwing them away?
You're talking of physical things?
I believe so. Yeah, decluttering things. Oh, okay.
That no longer serve you. So well, if physical things, I guess you can, however you choose to honor them. That would be up to you. I don't have an attachment to physical things, so it's very easy for me to move them on to somebody. It depends, though. If something is given to me, like in a relationship that I'm no longer in, or something like that, I don't give those things away. I actually release those in a very different way. So it really depends on, what it is that I'm releasing. I will move the energy from it, because everything's energy and frequency. So I'm not going to just hand off an energy to another person that is an energy that I'm no longer participating in. If it's things that no longer serve you in your energetic field, it's always taking on the wisdom of what that experience was about, and then, restoring that soul fragment and releasing it. So, I've talked about that I've had dark night of the soul. I've actually had it twice in my, probably more than that. But I embrace all those events and all that took place, and I thank them and welcome them in my energetic, because it wasn't fun going through it, but it was certainly part of my journey, and I learned a lot of what it was about, and why these things took place. So I think that's also super important, is take in, what's the information about it, because we are source consciousness. You have to imagine that everything in your reality you chose to experience, whether you believe that or not. You did, because you're source consciousness. And also in that, not only if we take home the wisdom, but we can realize, if I chose this, I can choose something else. This is what we're waking up to. You have to imagine that prior to coming into a physical form, you said, oh, you know what? I want to feel what it feels like to be in a relationship where this person treats me like crap. And you think, well, why would I want that? Well, I don't know, you chose to have that particular experience. So we want to like go into that and say, well, why would I choose that particular experience? And then if we can choose something else, so we do choose these things.
Yeah, Karen mentioned she inherited a home from a dear friend who killed himself over a year ago. And I believe that's related to the question of decluttering things that no longer serve her.
Well, in that case, that's again, I mean, I certainly would work with that, shift the energetics that are in the space, work with what all that is and what those represent, to me in my energetics. I would work with all of the emotions involved, if there's particular emotions with that individual, or if I, was connected to the space at all when the person was there. I would just bring all that into the 0 point. That's what I would be doing.
I feel guided to suggest that if Karen feels aligned, that she could have a session with you. If that's aligned, or feels aligned.
Yeah, that certainly is an option as well, that we can sit in that and help shift some of the energetics there, if that's something that is desired, for sure.
Yeah, it feels a lot of energy, emotions there.
The sun is so bright coming in here. I'm like, oh, I might have to close that door.
Okay. I'll read the question while maybe you close the shutter. Speaking energetically, I sold my home and nothing seems to feel like the right place or area to settle. I wonder how much it matters where you live, actually.
Well, hold on one second here. I personally feel like your space is very important. I feel like to feel what feels right for you. I mean, I certainly have been in spaces that were not necessarily in the highest and best for me in different times in my life, but having recognized so much more about energy and frequency, I do feel that it's important to have a space that feels comfortable, that aligns with you. I feel like that's part of the sacrificing program that we're in. And I've told a story before that when I was kind of relearning this lesson, I was challenged in this way because I had gotten in a position where I didn't feel I had financial resources. And so I didn't feel that I was able to afford a lot. And so I had been in a space that I didn't really care for. And I started to look for another space that was more in the linear line of this same space that I didn't really care for. But everything in me told me to go to this other space that was like double the amount of money that I was already struggling with. I felt I was struggling with the lower amount. But I just knew energetically that I was supposed to be in the space that was double. And so I just did it. I said, I'm going to go in this space no matter what. And of course, each month it magically got paid and so many things. But it was all about, you honoring your space. That's often how we can step sort of back into, our awareness as creator beings and as source. It's like, we do have an alignment of something that it really aligns with who we are. And I think it makes a big difference, not just your space, but your clothes, your everything, food, everything is energy and frequency. And it's like, this is another big piece about what we've been guided, and I hear it a lot when people say, I can't afford. It's like, well, wait a minute. What are we really saying here? If my entire existence is through this body and through here, then, this needs to be number one, this right here. So if I'm feeling that I need to be in a certain space, then I would say, have that faith, trust, and surrender and pick that space, be in that, trust that, because doing that will align you with who you are, which will only expand more of that for you. Where in the opposite, it's going to shrink you, which is typically what happens with people.
Yeah, I have to breathe out after every answer. You almost feel like when you're speaking, there's a lot of energy shifting. I know that's what you do, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have time for one more question?
Yeah, we'll do one more, and then I'm going to do an energetic shift here.
Yes. Bridget asked, I hear the word surrender. Is that something you can deliberately do, or is it more about getting to a state of complete overwhelm? I have surrendered and asked for help and not sure I have been heard.
Well, if I'm going to define surrender, it's literally letting go of everything. And I do that, I say, take everything away. And I've shared this before too, is that when I was guided to say, take away like money, I was like, whoa, hold on, what do you mean? But what you're really saying is take away everything that I am holding, that I am having some energetic hold on. Because remember what I said to you is you're this puzzle piece, and you're the spherical moving puzzle piece. Well, if I'm holding anything, then I'm not in surrender, and I'm not allowing for the energetics of myself and my soul and who I am to show up, because everything is in motion. This is the other piece too, is that there's nothing that's still, nothing. And some of the ways that we're taught is to put things in place. Well, that's ridiculous, because everything is in motion. So the idea of surrender to me is surrender to the flow, to allow for life to occur, for change to happen, for magic to come into your reality, for things like that. And that's really so I think we have this misnomer of surrender as like this giving up, letting go, and stopping. It's not that. It's letting go of the way in which I'm holding my breath or doing whatever, like, okay. And sometimes, yes, it has been, and I've said this in my controversial moment of like suicide. It's not suicide, of course, not giving up, but sometimes it's like that, where you're like, I don't care anymore. I can't take it. And I've said, if an hour a week, a day makes or breaks me, I don't have anything anyway. So what am I worried about? Let go, and that's really the truth. A lot of times we don't realize, like, when we're just miserable and we're like, what am I holding on to? How about I just let go? And how about I let go right here? This is, again, bring it home. It's here. Take a breath, let go. Surrender. Can't take it anymore. And then the magic happens. Okay, I just see a couple more questions. We can take another question. Let's see what else.
Okay, yes. Lindsay, you talk about emotions in circumstances. How about the body? When its messages, emotions are witnessed and embraced, can it miraculously shift, or is it in a process of practicing 0 point?
I think both. Yes, I have witnessed, and both within my body and with others, that miraculous shifts instantaneous, of course, because everything is energy and frequency. I mean, literally, you can, I was playing with this the other day, where I banged into something and I immediately took out that information of banging in, and there was no pain, there was nothing, it was completely gone, from my awareness. And I think that's where we're coming to, is this awareness that we are energy and frequency. And I've said before, is that you kind of want to have this image of the body, that the body is like a giant mall of people, And, am I in synergistic communication? What kind of communication am I doing with this body? And because I've said before too, that, we're literally creating through our thoughts and our emotions, that whatever this body's vibrating as in the communication that I'm doing is what I'm sending out, and it's coming back. And so in this, letting go, in this allowing yourself to be present and really be the witnessing observer of anything within the body. Yeah. Instantaneously, you can have things shift and change, and just, it's also how things come in, and we don't recognize how amazing we are and who we are. And I'm here to help you know that you're an amazing being of light. And we just haven't been taught the truth.
You are an amazing being too. I'm sure we are all reflecting that back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We can take one. Yeah.
From Stuart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he asked how to let go of loved ones, like your children, your partner, in order to fulfill your soul mission.
Well, I think if I don't think it's a getting rid of in the idea of letting go. It's more of a knowing that everything is in divine order, and that, your children chose you. And of course, they know in choosing you that there's energetics that are going to take place, whether we know this on a conscious level or not. We do. In terms of partnerships, I think it's evaluating, it's really allowing yourself to feel the divinity of those partnerships and where are they. And sometimes partnerships take on different roles and different dynamics and things. And this is where we begin to recognize and wake up. And this is where I was saying before, it's really about that surrender of allowing for a movement and a flow, of how things are. And so I think when we get in our head and we're dialoguing too much, or we're like, oh my God, I need to get rid of this person or move this or all that. Well, that's when I would go inside and say, what am I really saying? I need to do, why am I saying this? What's the hidden meaning behind it? Because there's something that I'm either afraid to say about myself, to honor, to be, to whatever, you know what I mean? Because otherwise it's free. And this is really where we want to kind of look at this within ourselves. It's like, do I need to like push myself away from everyone? If I'm believing that, then there's something I'm hiding from, because there's no need for that. I feel like being honest, showing up, having communication is the key. And allowing for the dynamics to show up and having communication. So if I were in a partnership and I'm feeling that, I need to be traveling, and then I'm going to communicate with this partner, and I'm going to communicate with whatever, and we're going to see what's going to happen, and we're going to occur. And it's going to be continually that same process, keeping my heart open, allowing myself to feel, allowing the truth to be there, showing up in my divinity and having that communication, and just allowing for the flow of the dynamics. And I think that they flow. And sometimes one individual might feel like, but it's all in divine order, and it's all in alignment. This is that faith, trust, and surrender that we don't always know. That's how I feel about it. So, let's go into the energy here. Did you want to do a little practice, Rayania? No? Okay. All right, we'll do that another time. So I would like to actually just bring all this energy. I think this is a beautiful co-creation with everybody here today. I feel a lot of energy, and it feels really beautiful. And thank you all for being a part of this and asking questions. And I really feel like this particular one feels very important. I really hope that you guys will share it, and to bring people and communicate. There's a lot of people out there that are brand new to stuff like this, and to bring them here, to just let them have the experience, to be a part of it, to be in the energetics, I feel is something that's really important. And, you know, and I encourage you to share it and just even if you're judging that they won't get it or they won't know, if you're feeling it, send it, do it. You know, it's just, this is what we're here for. We're here to show up. So I'm here to show up. All right, so let's expand this energy just a little bit more for everybody. So if you guys want to close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. Ukila kotela kata kashini koti pokishna ka kota arakata oshima kota rakata kimo kota pokishma from kasara kata kistu semekita la kotela kota mo pokishma asemeri tala kata kamos. Take some nice deep breaths. I'm going to call in the 18th dimensional diamond consciousness of water. And we're going to bring in divine clarity and divine flow. And I'm going to bring this into the water systems in your body, the brain fluid, the spinal fluid, the interstitial fluid, the lymphatic fluid, all the fluids in the body becoming divine clarity and flow. The same water consciousness that's within your body is one with the earth. So we're going to allow this to expand. Taking a deep breath. And I'm just going to bring in this frequency. We're going to bring in a calibrator of love, a frequency of love into this fluid system so that it begins to communicate at the quantum level of your DNA, just a greater aspect of your source self. Take a nice deep breath. So it's going to begin to kind of awaken cells in all of the organs, in all of the body systems. So if anybody is having any physical conditions, particularly anything that has been very stagnant or sort of stubborn in the body, this will begin to move the energetics for this. So anticipate some awareness coming into your mind, into your self in relationship to why this particular condition is in your body. And if you get like a thought or an awareness, try not to disregard it, just jot it down. And, you know, if anybody's really in places, I would suggest maybe having a session because I can feel a few of you, but this is just going to begin to open up this geometry and energetics for you. Take a deep breath. It is done, it is so, it is done, it is so. I am free, I am free, I am free. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you. And thank you. And thank you, everybody. I love you all. Thank you for coming. I love you too, Rayania, my beautiful friend. Thank you. All right. Until next time, I'm going to stop the recording.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone. I don't know next week. Probably 2 weeks, I'd say. It's more likely where we're going to be coming back again. So thank you. All right.